Hello, welcome back, and don't click away, don't be afraid, this is indeed the One Chunk build series, but today we do a different spin. I'm gonna build on a skyblock and I'm gonna build this lighthouse, and if you subscribe, then I can start building, so let's go. This is the start of the skyblock. Indeed, it is all gonna be with tuff and the first layer, then I decorated it. This is the chunk I'm gonna build the lighthouse in. One chunk is 16 by 16. And you can see when I lay down the chunk that the island isn't even that big. So the lighthouse will not be that big too. The first thing is always to lay out your basic shape and then set it up in blocks and see how high you want to make it. Now I always put a center pillar up in one of my buildings so I can see like, okay, this is basically the max height I want my building to look good. The first layer was 9 blocks high, and then the second layer, the first red band, is 4 blocks high. And that is for a reason. And I chose for bone blocks because they has this really nice texture that if you place them all upwards, you can actually see a little bit of a 3D effect. And that's what I'm doing right now. Of course, sometimes you misplace a block, but hey, don't worry. Now I choose red concrete blocks against the white because it really makes it pop. And that's what you want for a lighthouse, don't you? Then it's time for the floor, so I can actually put the next layer on top of it. And the next layer will be a little bit smaller. Now I'm trying to figure out the shape as well. And as you can see, I'm not completely on the edge. I want to have some kind of room to add a shape or to play around with decorations. And now I'm trying to figure out, okay, how high do I want my second layer? And sometimes I fly away and look from afar if it's high enough, if it's in scale. And I chose this second layer to be 9 blocks high. And then the next red layer is only gonna be 3 blocks high. Not 4, but 3 this time. On top of that, it's also gonna be a white layer, and that is also gonna be 3 blocks high. Hey, and of course, if you want to make a bigger one or a taller one, you can always add more blocks to it. So I tried to put here a little bit of a thing that I can see from the bottom. Okay, that's where the light goes. And when I flew away from a distance, I saw this build was very blocky, so then it's time to add a little bit more blocks, and that is why I gave myself some space to add blocks, to kind of work around, make it less boxy and blocky. And when I'm ready with the shape, I do it on all the sides. So that is basically a symmetrical build that I don't do that many times, but in this case I think it kind of worked out. And now it's time for the roof. Yeah, I'm not particularly really good with roofs, but I know what kind of shape I want. I want for the middle where I now place the cobblestone, I want the lights for the lighthouse in there. And I'm gonna use chasing lights, so it's gonna be a real working lighthouse. Now I wasn't happy with that shape, so I thought I have to move it away. But now I had a clue how high I wanted the lights, so I'm gonna make myself a platform and use observers, placing that into a circle for the chasing lights. And yes, I have used this before. So what you do, you place the observers into each other in this perfect circle. Don't forget to point the last one also in the good direction. Then the second layer of observers, you point them downwards, that the top, the red dot, is on the top. And you can already see it blinking on and off, so then you know it is working. Well, for all these kind of chasing lights, you can actually add 2 layers of redstone lamps, but then I needed space, so I just removed my temporary roof and added the redstone lamps. I chose for yellow glass because I think from a distance it's really nice to see this yellow glass glowing in the distance, and I opted for another layer of glowstone so that it is a little bit more light and you can actually see it from far away. So when that is done and all working, it's time to make a roof and to frame those lights. And I use for a darker block, in this case it's what black stone, because I thought it really makes a pop. Then you get the white, the reds and the yellow from the lights, and the black will just pop it out. Now you see me doing this multiple times, so I actually make a shape and then look, is the shape okay? And then I add some blocks and remove some blocks. In this case it was just basically staircase around the glass, and then I build it up with another full block, and then with staircases again with another full block on top of staircases, and that's basically the entire roof. And then I look from far, do I like it? And then sometimes I add a block here or add a wall there. And when I have the basic shape, it is time to add some details. Don't be afraid to just try it out on one side and look if you like it or not. And in this case I thought, the grey blocks are too grey, they're not, but the blackstone is too dark if I use more, so I used a deep slate. It's just an in-between, and I think it really made it pop out and not too dark. Adding some lights is always important, and that's also why I like to use windows in my build, so you have the natural day cycle going into your build. Now I opted for one wide windows because in real life you see lighthouses, the windows are not that wide as well. And I'm using dark oak logs for this, also to make it pop out of the red and white background. And now it's time for the inside, and what do I always do when I start with the inside? Yes, I make as much space as I can by removing all the double blocks, or the blocks that are not really needed there. I chose the same blocks for the roofs and for the flooring as I use on the outside, so that it will be like all together and it matches up, I think. And then it was time for the second layer to give myself as much space. I mean, these buildings are not that big, it's just in one chunk, and if I want to decorate it, I like to give myself as much space as I possibly can so I know what to work with. When everything is empty, I like to divide the spaces. So and of course you can keep it open, but I like to have a corner for a kitchen, have a corner for a living room, and also have a different room, maybe a working room or a library, or in your bedroom of course. So here I'm also dividing the height, like in chambers. And I thought this was the perfect in-between room for like a workroom. It is, after all, a working lighthouse, and if you have to repair it, you better can have some spare parts around. So that is what I'm mimicking here. And then I made a ladder to the next room, and there is the bedroom. And I chose this one for the bedroom, even if it is smaller, because it has lights. You have the natural day cycle, day and night cycle, and natural light coming in. And I always like that in a build. Now you need some books, you need somewhere place to sit, some storage, and of course many paintings and plants and shelves. You know, that's the stuff I like to decorate with. And that's what I'm doing right here. When that is done, it's time for the living room. And in this case I thought, what do you really need in the cold evenings on an island? Yes, indeed, you need a nice fireplace. This is a very easy and a very small one. I think it looks so cute and cozy in every living room, to be quite honest. There it is. It's just some staircases with a campfire and glass. And to make a nice sitting area, I use a different type of wood. It's oak. And yes, adding also some color with the staircases and with a carpet. And if you need, you can hide, of course, light blocks under a carpet. And in this case, I love hanging plants and I love hanging lights. So there you go. Here I just framed the windows the same way as I framed them on the outside. I think it just looks nice. It looks complete. With a nice kind of a trim or rim around it. And yes, I used some end rods. Now time for the kitchen. The kitchen is small, but I think you can definitely use it as a kitchen here. I always like to use like a campfire under a smoker, so it mimics it that it is a working kitchen. I like to use the trapdoors as shelves. I always add like a furnace, a working bench, and in this case also of course some sitting down. And I thought these campfires look great as low chairs. Now it's time for the entrance, and yes, I always like to frame the entrance and make a little bit of light in there. Some storage, just some stuff that to fill up the place that's not so empty, and a closet always works well. And so the entire lighthouse is a one chunk, and what I'm gonna do now will not be in one chunk, but I think it just adds so much to a build if you just use a little bit of terraforming. Now, I made this complete island on a skyblock, so it is a lot of terraforming, but in this case, if you just build this on any world, the rocks, this is the tough block, it's just a bit, it's not that many work, it's not that crazy of a terraforming. And yes, and I really liked it. And then you need some pathways, of course, to the fishing pond. And here it is, my lighthouse. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time.